Do you want to bring a change in your business or life, but you're so scared of failing that you aren't even giving it a shot? If this is your situation, then this video is for you. Hello, I'm Manasi Kakade, and I serve as a mentor for Bridgewalker entrepreneurs. I teach them how they can express themselves fully and freely through their business. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my journey about exercising. For 3.5 decades of my life, I believed and told myself that I cannot exercise. I'm not a sports person. I'm not an exercise person. But last year, I decided that I want to bring the change in my life. I want to become a person who exercises. In the last year, I haven't skipped a single day of exercising. So how did I do that? That's what I wanted to share with you today. Are you ready? Let's get started. When I was a little girl, about 5-6 years old, my parents enrolled me in a tricycle race. Now, even as a child, I was very competitive. I always wanted to win. As an adult, I have now discovered that it is unhealthy. I still have that desire in me, but it is a lot healthier now. I'm okay with failing. I'm okay with losing. I'm okay with not taking it as a reflection of my abilities. However, at that age, when I lost that tricycle race, I was devastated. And what I told myself from that race or losing it is that I'm not a sports person. This one incident changed my identity about sports. Then when I became an adult, this started showing up in my life as lack of exercise. Because I had convinced myself I cannot exercise just because I couldn't do a physical activity like sports when I was a child. I was telling myself that I cannot do a physical activity like exercise as an adult. But last year, I started seeing some signs where my stamina or my strength, my flexibility was degrading. And I realized that even though my health indicators are great, I need to start bringing in exercise in my routine in order to become my best self and if I want to live my full potential. But I was so scared because there was this 3.5 decades of programming of what is possible for me in terms of sports, in terms of exercise, that I didn't even get started for a couple of years when I felt that. If you are in this situation, here are the 3 tips that are going to help you, that really helped me change my identity to a person who fails at exercise, to a person who doesn't skip exercise. Number 1, find your why. Any change that you want to bring in life, there is a reason you want that change. What is that reason? And when the reason is strong enough for you, it tips the balance of risking the failure versus getting the reward of whatever it is that you desire in exchange for doing that activity, bringing in that change. And when you tip the balance towards the reward, when the reward becomes so heavy that you are okay risking failure for it, then you will take action. So if you want to bring a change in your life, get yourself that reward. What is it that's for you? So in the past, when I decided to exercise, I did it because somebody told me that I should lose some weight and that will help me in the long run. Somebody told me that maybe if I want to have children, that I should be in a certain physical shape to help the delivery. I wasn't as enticed by it. Sometimes I looked at myself and I said, maybe I should reduce weight myself. But again, it wasn't strong enough for me. What changed last year was as I started seeing some signs of less than optimal health, I realized that it's going to hurt me in my business. And my business is my soul's purpose. So I wouldn't do anything that is ethical, anything ethical. I wouldn't do anything ethical that if my soul's purpose is at stake. So that was my strong enough why last year. And because of that, because I wanted to be there, highly energetic state for my clients, for my audiences when I'm giving speeches, because I wanted that for myself, I gave myself that strong enough why where I started exercising. I took the action. What is that why for you? Figure it out, and it will tip the balance from the risk of failing to the reward of receiving that desire. Tip number 2 that helped me a lot: start small. Very, very small. A year ago, every time I said the word exercise, it brought out all these feelings of failure. And rather than thinking I can do it, I would almost always fall into the trap of telling myself, who are you to do it? You have never done it in the past for longer than 2-3 days in a row. What makes you think that you can now develop a regular exercise routine? You have never been a sports person all these years. What makes you think that you will even enjoy exercising? All these inner thoughts started showing up because that fear of failure was such deeply rooted in my subconscious. So what I told myself is, I'm not even going to call it exercise. It's going to be moving your body in some way, body movement. As long as that movement is intentional, I'm happy with it. So when I first started, I started with climbing stairs up and down, maybe dancing to my favorite song, did a couple of stretches and breath work. I started very small with maybe 5 minutes on the first 2-3 days. Then I graduated to maybe 10 minutes in about 10-15 days. And then slowly, the result of it is I started feeling good about myself. I started feeling that if I could do it for 5 minutes, maybe I can do it for 7 minutes. Maybe I can do it for 10 minutes. And before I knew, I was doing 30 minutes of yoga. Yoga is yoga. Yoga is a proper way of saying it, and that's how I say it. So yoga, I started doing 30 minutes of it, and before I knew, I had graduated to an hour of yoga every single day. But had I not started with that smallest movement, I wouldn't have had the confidence and establishing of a track record that tells me that I can do it. So I started building my confidence step by step, which led me to expanding what's possible for me. So what is it, that small action that you can take today that will break the inertia? That's all you need. Break the inertia. Move yourself in a different direction than where you have been in the past. If you want to bring a change, it can start with the smallest possible action, and take the action that feels so easy to you that you cannot help but take it. Now, tip number 3, look for accomplishments and celebrate them. When we want to bring a change in life, that change, maybe it's a new habit, or maybe you want to start a business, we have this picture of what we want to do as the end goal. And it often seems that if we compare ourselves to that end goal, we do not even appreciate small steps that we are taking along the way that are taking us to our picture or vision of that goal. So earlier, I didn't continue with exercising quite a few times because I would go to the gym and tell myself that, compare myself to some other person who is running there for an hour, and then look at myself and see I cannot even walk straight for 30 minutes without feeling out of breath. And when I compared myself to that ideal picture, I wasn't in the mood of celebrating that accomplishment. However, if you train your mind to look for accomplishments and then celebrate it, your perspective changes. Now, rather than comparing yourself to somebody else or the picture of your ideal vision, you start comparing yourself to your past. When you have a deep-seated fear of failure and you aren't starting something new, even taking the smallest actions are accomplishments. You have to develop the perspective of looking at it from that angle. For example, when I had the first day, I did some stretches for 5 minutes. To me, it was an accomplishment. Looking back, doesn't seem that big a deal. But for somebody who hasn't done anything for 3.5 decades, and now she did 5 minutes of intentional body movement, that's an accomplishment. The first time when I did it for 10 days in a row, that is an accomplishment because I had never done it for more than 3-4 days in a row. First time I graduated to 30 minutes of yoga, that's an accomplishment. But if you do not have the mindset to look at those accomplishments, you're always going to look at your ideal picture of who you think you should be and not appreciating how far you have already come. And that's not going to give you the motivation to keep going. What looking for accomplishments does for us is rather than pursuing our goal from a scarcity and lack mindset, we start pursuing it from the perspective of possibilities. If I can do it for 5 minutes, can I do it for 7 minutes? So you start looking at yourself as a person filled with possibilities versus a person who cannot reach their ideal goal. So that's why the tip number 3 is to look for even the smallest accomplishments and celebrate them. And celebration is just a state of mind. It's the gratitude and joy you feel when you realize how far you have come. Those are my 3 tips for you. If you are stuck wanting to bring a change in your life, maybe it's a new habit that you want to develop, and you're so afraid of trying it because you're afraid you will fail at it, then follow these 3 tips and see what results it gets you. Number 1, find your why. Number 2, start small, very, very small baby steps. And number 3, develop an attitude to look for accomplishments and celebrate how far you have already come. That's all I have for you today. I wish you all the best in any changes that you want to bring in your life. If you like this video, like it, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.